What's up, business owners? What's up, entrepreneurs? What's up, business minded individuals, self helpers? I was just at a business conference this morning for the Center of Entrepreneurship here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they were speaking about how they help our young adults, young children get into business. Like some of them started when they were like 8, 9 years old, started learning about being in business, and they were talking about how they have helped I think it was about 17, 18,000 young people either start business or get education about what it means to be a business owner. And one of the directors of the organization is a good friend of mine, Mr. Doug Kelly, and he said, "Hey, we want to have you come and speak. You have a lot of experience. You have a story that people need to hear about." And I had said, well, you know, anything to help get the mindset going for young people or young adults or even older adults that are looking at trying to get into business or to try to figure out something to increase their income. And I want to talk about some of the things that they spoke on and that really caught my attention. And then I'm going to talk about some things that I didn't hear that I'm going to make it a point when I do speak. And I'm going to make it a point here when I'm on talking to you here on YouTube or on any platform, is that there's a lot of hidden stuff that people don't talk about when it comes to being a business owner. Now, some of the top of the line things, what I want you to do is if you can right now, you know that I'm all about getting the body moving, because if you get your body moving, you'll start to take action. And you can't take any action without having your body in action. So go grab a piece of paper. It could be that simple. Pause the video right now and go grab a piece of paper and a pen. And what I want you to do is on that piece of paper, I want you to do this. I want you to make it like this wavy line, like water. Like this is water. And on top of it is above the water, and then we got below. These are the things that people know that they got to look out for when they're starting a business. Is that your credit? Number one, if your credit is not right, you are off to a bad start, because if you have credit, you can literally have a business bring you income off of what you utilize your credit to get you into, and have income from utilizing your credit. Now, you do got to make the right choices. I know that there's a bunch of scammers out there. I got a video coming up pretty soon about all of these crypto scams and all this stuff. You can look, I made a video here on YouTube that'll show you how to figure out if somebody is scamming. I made the video on that. That video needs to have like a trillion views, because I tell you exactly how to figure out if somebody is a scam. There is a process that you could utilize to see if somebody's a scam. But you got to have your credit right. If your credit is right, that's the foundation, because number one, if your credit is right, you're going to be able to save on the things that you're already paying on, because you're going to pay less, because good credit, lower interest rates go hand in hand. So that's one way that you can actually save money to even get into a business. And then if you have good credit, you can utilize that credit to actually get into that business the right way, to fund it the right way. The next thing is you got to lower your debt. And I know that this is something that some people will be like, well, how can I'm overfinanced, or I got too much stuff. Well, you got to make a decision on getting out of debt. There was a time that my wife and I had to make a decision after we were like the reverse. We started with no money, built a successful business from 1990, started the business, 1994, successful business, and we ended up spending too much money to where we didn't really have no money, because we were spending everything on payments. So we had to get rid of stuff and get ourselves out of debt and then reset. And that was like a 5-year process, but we were able to save the business, and that business continued to grow. Next thing that they talked about, and this is all above the water. This is the stuff that you just see, like right there, it hits you. Business management. You got to know how to manage your business. The next thing is accounting. Either you hire an accountant or you learn about accounting, or you utilize software. I've chosen to utilize software to account for my companies, except for I do use companies to do stuff like the payroll and all of that stuff and do the tax accounting. I don't even want to get into that. I don't want to have no delays. I don't want to get in no trouble with the IRS. So I have all of that stuff put together for me. And then the marketing, everybody knows you got to advertise, market, all that. That's all above the water. But now let's talk about some things that people don't talk about that actually end up making people unsuccessful in business. Now, these are just some of them. So if you're already thinking ahead of me, you might be like, well, Steve, that's not all of them. I know these are some of the ones that came to my mind that seem to be the ones that knock people out of business fast. Like these things that I'm about to go over is the things that if you don't have control over these, you're really done. You can say that you're not going to make it. And these are not in order. So one of the things you're going to have to get good at dealing with is attitudes. And if you're dealing with customers, you're going to deal with attitudes. The more customers you have, the more attitudes, the more chances you're going to have more bad attitudes. Like a lot of people, a lot of business owners on that top water side, they'll be like, well, if I advertise my business, the more people that see my business, the more sales I'm going to make. It's a numbers game. Well, the same numbers game work underneath. This is underneath the water, and nobody don't want to talk to you about, but I'm talking to you about it, is that you're going to deal with more people with attitudes for whatever reason. And it's not your job to try to figure out how to get along with those people. Your job is to make sure that your business is well represented, and then whatever that attitude, you got to train yourself and you got to train your staff on how to deal with them. Next part of how the attitudes happen is you have a group of people, no matter what you're doing in whatever business, you're going to have a group of people who are unsatisfiable. This was one of the crazy things where I learned this by looking at with one of my companies. I was looking at the reviews, and I was like, we got 5-star reviews, and then we got 1-star reviews, and then we got reviews in the middle. And I was like, what makes a 5-star review experience and what makes a 1-star review experience? And it was crazy. Some of the people, even though they got the same result for what that they needed from the business, the way that they felt that they were talked to by a certain rep with the company made them put a 1-star review. So they got what they wanted, but they just, because the way they wanted it, the way they pictured it in their mind, they were not satisfied. I saw this with also with a real estate company where an individual, he invested, I think, $100 million in a real estate deal, made $100 million profit, and was told people he would not recommend that people do business with that real estate company. Now, for me and you, just if the person, you put $100 million, you made $100 million, you doubled your money. But the person felt that they were not going to never refer people to work with that real estate company. And this was the reason why, because they felt that they talked to them a certain way that they didn't like. So that's the other part of it. Being in business, you're going to have to understand that there's going to be a group of unsatisfiable people. No matter what you do, no matter how you come through for them, they will never admit that they are satisfied. And it is not your job to sit there and worry about how to satisfy those people. As a matter of fact, with my company, what we started doing is we listen very good at for those types of people. And we just say, we don't think that you're a good fit to work with our company. We tell them right away, we cancel them, and then they'll come running back. Well, I want to do it. Why are you not taking me? Like, we cannot take you as a customer. You can't say anything bad about us because we just decided not to take you as a customer. And we've had people that we decided not to have as a customer put a bad review, which is crazy, because how could you put a bad review if we decided not to have you as a customer? That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to get used to that. Attitudes, unsatisfiable customers. And then that goes into disrespectful people. Now, let me tell you a story about something that happened with my wife when we with our marketing, with our print advertising business. This was way back. This is probably like 1998, 96, 98, somewhere around that time. She was going, we would both go to stores. We had our list of customers and we would both drive around together. She would go into her customer. I would wait in the car and then go to mine. This is after we kind of got things rolling to where we had a good customer base, and we were basically going to those customers to collect the money and get any changes for their ads. She had an experience with one customer that had a store. And this individual actually did this, and I was like, "We will never deal with you again." Once my wife came out and told me that he had did this, I was like, "We went in there. We're not dealing with you no more." The cost of his ad was $100 or $200 for the week. He actually pulled out the money out of the register and ripped it up in front of my wife and said, "I'd rather rip it up than pay you the money." And then my wife came out the store and she told me. Now my wife is strong-minded, so her feelings were not hurt or nothing. She's just that type of person. But that happened, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna tell them we're not gonna deal with them no more. And we don't even want your money. We don't even want your money because we know what we're doing is good. Later, years later, we found out that it was not even anything personal. That this guy has this attitude with all types of people, and he actually ended up not even having a business anymore because his suppliers got tired of dealing with him, his friends got tired of dealing with him, and he just really disappeared. Never had a business in the community again, just disappeared. And so this is why you have to understand, and this gets to our next part right here, is that with all of these things that go on, you can't shut down on yourself. Because just think about all of those different things that I just talked about. And this is just with you. Now, when you add workers to it, when you add your own employees to it, it's another level because you're dealing with unsatisfiable employees, unsatisfiable customers, like that combination. But this comes down to you cannot shut down as the boss, as the captain of your ship. You cannot shut down. Like I've had where some employees wanted for one of my businesses, like I can't come in for whatever reason. And I don't say it, but just think, what if I was to say, well, I'm not going to sign off on payroll for this coming Friday because of whatever reason. My wife had double lung transplant, which is the truth. She had a double lung transplant during the whole time we're going back and forth 2 hours away for her medical appointments, for the prep, for all of that. For years, we had to do that for years. Very tired, had to help take care of her because she was on oxygen, doing everything. And she was doing everything she could, which was a lot. With our retail store. So, but what we did is we said, we have responsibilities. We got to take care of it. Regardless of what's going on our personal life, everybody else needs to have their stuff. They depend on it. And so you, as the business owner, you cannot shut down. You cannot shut down. You cannot shut down. You cannot shut down. I had to pause the video for a second. I got a call. Guess what? Got a call from some real estate investor wants to buy one of my commercial properties. And I said, no, I don't want to sell it. But you cannot shut down. That's like a huge thing that I see a lot of business owners, they fall apart because they don't understand all of this stuff that's underneath the water. They'd be like, you didn't tell me that I could run into all of these attitudes. I thought I was just selling this happy product or service and everybody was going to be happy if I came through for them. You can come through for people and they will still be unsatisfied. I've seen people, I saw a YouTube video where a lady was eating at a black restaurant. I said black, but it was a black restaurant. She was eating and she said she didn't like the food. And this lady took the last bite of the food that was on the plate. Like she cleared the plate. And she said, I don't like the food. And the guy, the owner, was like, so you don't like it and you just finished taking the last scoop of whatever she was eating. you have to understand that you're not going to be able to satisfy them, and that you're going to have to figure out a way for you, with all of that stuff that's going on, for you to be able to stay motivated. Like, you could have the best product, you could have the best service, you could be the best individual, you could have the most positive mindset of anyone on the whole planet Earth. And if you do not prepare yourself for this stuff, it will take you out the game of being in business. Now, I was fortunate for the way that my business progressed. So the first progression is start in your business and you do everything. That was where, now I'm not saying that that's the way that you do it. I'm just telling you how I progressed to go to get to where I'm at now, is that my wife and I did everything. We did 100% of everything. And then we hired our first employee. He did graphic design. And then I hired a secretary. And but before we hired a secretary, we ended up leasing a place, in the area that we were working, that we had our business in, because it was a ways from where we lived at. So, but before that, for years, my office was my car. Like, our office was our car, because we lived in another city from the city that we were running the business in. And as a matter of fact, we were running it for a while in two cities, had two different publications, but then one of them just blew up, and we were like, why keep this one when we should concentrate on this one, because it was blowing up. And it actually was a great decision. So progress from hiring first employee, graphic designer. Graphic designer took away work that we used to have to do ourselves. But we had to learn that you had to manage this individual. It had some quirks and attitudes, but it was a learning process on dealing with him. Next was getting office space, managing, staying up with an office space. And then I got a secretary, and she took a lot of stuff off of my plate that I used to have to deal with. My wife, at that time, she had stepped back from the company, and we had actually started another business that she was in. She was in the horse breeding business, Arabian horse breeding business. So I was mainly running the whole show for the advertising publication business. She was building us another income with the horse business, and that was a business that she loved to do. And that goes into one of my things that I always talk about, is that you got to get the first success under your belt. We got the first success under our belt, and then she started that business. We wasn't trying to do both at the same time. Got the, office space, employees, and then started getting employees to fill spots of work that I was doing, which would free my time up more to be able to do the thing that I love to do, which was going around selling to clients and collecting the money from the clients. Like, I used to have imagine going store to store, and this was in the 90s and in the 2000s, going store to store, and your publication is like 80 to 100 pages, and you're going into stores and they're paying you cash or check. Your pocket could get like big, like you got too much money walking around. I had to figure out some things, and I'll talk about this now because I don't do this now. I had a older 420 Mercedes 4-door. It was older, like a 1986 model. It was an older one. I got it from one of my advertisers that goes to car auctions, and he had got it in the car. Was like the inside, the doors and everything were off, and I was like, if it's good, I want to get it. And I got it, and I used it as a work car. I'm big with Mercedes. I've had like 8 of them, but it had some secret compartments in there, and I used to put the money. So it came out the stores, just because you never know, people watching you. I would put the money, once I got in the car and drove off, there were secret compartments in that car. As a matter of fact, one of the times I was at a customer and the car got broken into, and they took the radio, like they took my radio out the Mercedes. It wasn't the Mercedes radio, it was like an upgraded radio in there that I had put. No boom box and all of that. I wasn't, none of that. It was just a nice radio. And it was gone. But they did not know about those secret compartments because I had thousands of dollars in those secret compartments from the advertisers. So if they would have got that, then I would have been, mad. But so I started growing it. Each step dealing with that graphic designer, dealing with him, his little quirks, dealing with my secretary, her quirks, I started hiring delivery drivers to take, because me and my wife used to go around the city delivering all the free publications to all the stores. And it was at our biggest point, we had 750 locations. Now, I wasn't delivering to 750 locations, but what I started doing is chopping off to where I was like, okay, I'm going to keep 100 and then I'm going to get pay delivery drivers. I had teams of 4 and then we divided those remaining off. And then after a while, I just, gave them all to the delivery teams. And now let me tell you a funny story about something that happened in 2008. Even though I didn't have to still do it, I would still kind of help the delivery teams. I had people out there, they were delivering the books. And on Fridays was our delivery day. And for whatever reason, I came that day to help. And I remember just like it was yesterday. It was in 2007, actually. I came in my warm-up suit and everything, helping get the books. We had the storage unit where all of the drivers would go there and get the books. And I was there. I just said, well, I'm going into the office. I'm not really doing too much. I'm going to go in and just help, with the drivers and head over to the office. I'm not dressing up or anything in my suit and tie, going into the office. And guess what happened? A friend of mine who was working with the Barack Obama campaign for president said, Steve, I've arranged for you and some other business owners, small business owners in the community to come and meet, hopefully, the future president of the United States. And I was like, I can't go I looked at my hands. This is why I remember this. I looked at my hands and my hands had blue ink. My publication was called a Blue Book, and it's because it was colored. It was blue. And the ink, when you would pick them up, some of the times when you picked up a lot of them over and over and over, that blue ink would be on you. And I was like, I'm in my warm-up suit. I got all this ink on me. I'm like, I can't even make it. And so that was a missed opportunity. I look back when I think about that, I was like, man, if I would have just went to work regular, being prepared, I would have been able to meet the who became President Obama. Look at me. It's Friday. Look what I'm in. If it's when I come to work, I'm prepared. From that day in 2007, I've always said I'm going to be prepared to meet. I don't care what it is. I'm going to be prepared to meet anyone. I'm going to be have that impression, because first impression is the best impression. So I'm going to make sure that I'm right. That day I was not right. I learned a lesson on that. But from there, managing all of those different people who were delivering our publication, we had a full-time graphic designer, had secretary, sales. Oh yeah, I forgot. Salespeople too. The sales team had built 4 salespeople, 4 delivery, and 1 full-time graphic designer and 1 part-time graphic designer. And I was just managing the whole thing. Like, it was like my dream came true after all of those years. It was just money pouring in, business very successful. So let's just review real quick. Top of the water, get your credit right, lower your debt, business management, accounting, marketing. Yes, there's more on there. Yes, there's more. But that's the top level. Underneath that water, what's not normally talked about, attitudes. With dealing with customers with attitudes, you got to manage that. Later, you have a combination of employees and customers. Disrespectful people, unsatisfiable people, You can't shut down as a business owner. You got to always be able to depend, number one, on yourself and the people that you employ or your customers that you perform work for. You have to come through for them. You have to come through for them. Whatever you're going through, you're going to get through it. So no, you might as well go ahead and just push your way through it. And then staying motivated. You got to stay motivated. If you don't stay motivated, it's not going to work for you. Best way to stay motivated is get your body moving. Just like I told you, get that paper, get that pen, do some action. Only way for you to stay motivated, you can't stay motivated just in the mind. It's not going to work. It's just, that's willpower. It's going to go down. When I say motivated, get your hands up in the air. Sorry about that. When I say motivated, get your hands up in there and do something. Move your body. When they score, when last night watching the football game, when people scored a touchdown, did they just sit there like this? Touchdown. They were jumping all over the place, high five, and players that wasn't even happy with the Jets jumped up and chest pumped each other or pumped each other, whatever they call it, chest bump. Because you got to get excited, and first thing you got to do is you get excited, and then other people get excited. All right. I invite you to post your questions and comments. Also, I got some special stuff coming up for you in the future. There's going to be some surprises. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. This is Stephen A. Williams with Making Money with Stephen A. Williams here on YouTube.